Good morning. That's great. It works. Not as quickly as I'd like sometimes, but that's great. Welcome. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples. My name is Tony Fisher. I am proud and grateful to serve this congregation as its minister. Welcome to all of you who are here in the sanctuary, those online and those on the pavilion. Great to see you out there. Is there anybody that's with us for the first or second time this morning? Just somebody new, willing. Oh, brave person over there. Welcome. It's great to have you here with us. If you are joining us sort of recently and you haven't let us know who you are, please do so. Information will be on your screen later. And also, you can contact our office at office@uunaples.org. This morning is a very exciting morning down in the RE wing because we're beginning our OWL program. OWL stands for Our Whole Lives, which is a comprehensive sexuality education course for our middle schoolers. They're going to be pursuing this course for the bulk of this congregational year. It's an incredibly rich program that spans the breadth of human sexuality, understanding certainly the biology, but also the cultural pressures, all those things, relationships. It's an incredible program, and we're so grateful to have 8 young members of our congregation participating in that this year. So very exciting. And our youth are down there. Our religious educator Stephanie St. John is off today, but our youth are being sort of taken care of by Janet Hoffman and Linda Swears and Georgia Hopeful, so they're in good hands as well. So we're excited about our RE program this morning. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about our youth religious education, our exploration program, and would like to participate in it, there's always places for you to contribute, small and large. So see me after the service or talk to Anna, and they can find a way that you can get involved, as I say, for one Sunday or a number of Sundays. So let's take a deep breath this morning. We enter into our service about generosity and the generative spirit. We do that by taking a deep breath and enjoying our morning's prelude. Each morning we hold out the chalice of our being to be filled with the graces of life that abound. Air to breathe, food to eat, companions to love, beauty to behold, art to cherish, causes to serve. We carry the chalice with us as we go, either meandering aimlessly or with destination in our eye. We share its abundance if we have any sense, reminding others as we remind ourselves of the contents of the chalice we do not deserve. Water from living streams fills it if only we hold it out faithfully. We give back, if we can, something of ourselves, some love, some beauty, some grace, some gift. We give back in gratitude, if we can, something that is poured into our chalice of being for those who abide with us and will follow. Please join me in the chalice writing response on the screen or on your orders of service. Words of Dag Hammarskjöld. Each day, the first day, each day a life. Each morning we must hold out the chalice of our being, to receive, to carry, to give back. And let's rise as you're willing or able and join in our opening hymn, number 360 in the Great Hymnal. Words are on the screen. Here we have gathered. Here we have gathered side by side, circle of kinship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered, called to celebrate days of our lifetime, matters small and great. We of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can, sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battles, sorrows and regret, but in the shadows let us not forget. We who now gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song. So I may be revealing a little bit too much of myself here, but I wonder how many of you feel like I do, that I'm sort of wondering when I'm going to feel like a grown-up. How many of you sort of wonder about that? Well, I know we have some really fully self-actualized people in the sanctuary. They're just old. I don't know. I mean, it may have been my particular role models that have sort of made me think that I would never achieve sort of adulthood to that degree. I'm not sure. Maybe, and some of you might have sort of realized it really early that the adults in your life didn't have a clue, or you rebelled against them fairly early. I don't know, but for me, I still wonder, when am I going to feel? And maybe that's not a good thing for a minister to talk about. I don't know. And my parents, my grandparents, I just felt they were in control of themselves. They always felt like, in a crisis, they would have the right answers. I don't know. I just know that there's so many things going on in my simple life, and I know in yours, that there's just too many things to try and deal with all at once. It's a lot. Theologian Margaret Miles writes about the sort of the daily practice of life in this world, and of living in the spirit of love. And it requires that we acknowledge, I guess, that we live with all those uncertainties, our anxieties about whether we're good enough, or whether we will accomplish something well enough, or whether we'll meet the moment just right. But we have to be able to live with those and work with those express our humanity and our humility in order to sort of continue to grow and change through those experiences. And I guess it doesn't stop. It's a hard thing to think about, that we don't actually ever maybe realize that sense of adulthood or finality of sort of growing up as we thought we might when we were young. I mean, I know when I was young, somebody who was 20 had it all together, and I was just sort of sucking my thumb, I guess. I don't know. We do have to realize, I guess, that the things that go on in our lives every day do sort of pull us inward to think about how am I going to deal with this and how am I going to do that? And there's a lot of eyes in there. And I think one of the things that I think, for instance, and this is just me, that we can move into that sense of expectation, and at least into a sense that there's a continuous journey ahead, a growth, is that we practice the idea of acceptance of ourselves and others, and we act. We get out there, we do something, and then we have an opportunity then to reflect, and then that's a continual process, a cyclical process of action and reflection and growth. In that way, I guess we begin to move towards, if not fully realizing, a sense of wholeness, of integration. Not so much that we'll actually ever feel like we've grown up completely, except maybe those who are feeling old, and that's, you get a pass, I guess, if you reach that. But to be able to hold our concerns, our fears, but in ways that feel more fully, that we feel more fully whole in doing so. We are not just a rational brain. We are a body full of responses and emotions and a rational brain. And to be able to integrate all those things is a journey of a lifetime. That's what our service is about a bit today. Let's enter into our time of sharing by remaining seated and singing our centering hymn, Lean on Me.
Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride if I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your need that you won't have. So lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, but right up the road I'll share your load if you just call me. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. It won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I hope you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Somebody to lean on.
I got a text late last night from Sean saying, you know, we usually end that hymn as it's written in the book after the sort of the upbeat section, and it never felt right. So today we added that last piece, so it's good. Sean just needs to lean on me, and that's okay. Things will happen. We had a wonderful meeting of the worship associates this past Thursday. I can't remember. Thursday. We talked about joys and sorrows. It's an interesting piece of our service. It's an important part of our congregational history and culture. And yet it also feels a little awkward in any way that we do it. It's a struggle sometimes, and it is a point in our service that shifts a little bit. And so we're going to be experimenting over the next month or two with different ways of doing that. I invite you for next Sunday to either send me something in advance of the service if you have something you'd like to share, or we'll have a book out in the foyer for you to write something down that will be brought forward that I will share with the congregation. We'll also do it as we have done it in the past by opening up the floor. Once I work with Daniel in the Avery room to make sure that can work. I need to remind people when we do that, and I'll remind you now as well, that when you share during Joys and Sorrows of yourself, that goes online on Facebook Live and is held in archive on Facebook Live and on YouTube. So there are issues now as we are streaming our services with the sharing of joys and sorrows in that way. This morning a lot of people walked in the door telling me they felt better than they did last week. And we acknowledge the anxieties that sort of the political upheavals create in our lives, whatever political bent you follow. It has been a interesting and an anxious time in our country, and we're grateful, personally, I'm grateful that the kind of ugliness and violence that I think many of us feared following this election have not come to pass. So I think we're grateful for that. If you have somebody that you're holding this morning, somebody that you're thinking about, either in joy or in sorrow, I hope that you will share that name with us. Speak it out loud as I offer you that time. Also on the pavilion, please do this as well. Exercise your lungs and your vocal cords. Send your energy out. We will hear you. We will feel it. So joys and sorrows this morning, if you have somebody you're thinking about. I'm thinking about my sister Susan, who's recovering from another hip surgery up in Providence, Rhode Island. Let's share our gratitude for all those folks who worked the polls locally and nationally this past week, and express our gratitude for the systems that allow us to have a peaceful operation of our rights to vote and express ourselves politically. But for now, let's center ourselves for a time of meditation. Spirit of life and love, This time of meditation is an invitation to be calm in the midst of tumult of the world and of our busy lives, to bring together thought and feeling, mind and spirit into an integrated whole, to find our center, some still point of perspective and peace. Here in this sanctuary, which has been the home for so many secret thoughts and hopes, fears and desires, may we feel free to look at ourselves with true honesty, unafraid to face the decisions we have been trying to avoid, the doubts and questions we have been working to ignore, the things we have tried to keep hidden not only from others, but also from ourselves. May we come to discover that there are resources within ourselves and beyond us, and in those around us, that are hidden in plain sight, as real as our secret doubts and fears. New dimensions of the spirit within and without will be revealed to us as we confront ourselves honestly and come to understand that we are not isolated beings. May we come to see that in our deepest loneliness, that we are not alone. And may we be emboldened by this vision to reach out to others in our need, and also to respond to theirs, so that we may finally discover that to give is not only more blessed than to receive, but that to give to others of ourselves is to receive what we need most. Let's spend a few moments in silence together.
In the tears you gave to me, I found a river to an ocean, a concrete sky and a stone cold sea that came to where the emptiness cracked open, and all my fear came crashing through and met the fire of my sorrow. But I found my strength in forgiving you. I never even dreamed how far my heart could go to give my life beyond much death from this deeper well of trust. To know that when there's nothing left, you will always have what you gave to love. In this life, the love you give becomes the only lasting treasure. And what you lose will be what you win. A well that echoes down too deep to measure. A silver coin rings down that well. You could never spend too much. A diamond echoes deeper still, and you'll always have what you gave to love. Yes, you will always have what you gave to love.
The reading this morning comes from Sharon Salzberg, co-founder of the Insight Meditation Society in Barre, Massachusetts. Sharon has been an important interpreter of Buddhist thought and practice in the United States for over 40 years. She writes, "The Buddha said that no true spiritual life is possible without a generous heart. Dana, the practice of cultivating generosity, is the first of the 10 paramis, or qualities of the awakened mind. The path begins here, and the Buddha began his teaching with dana, because when we practice generosity, we begin to know a very beautiful quality of joy, a sheer, unhindered delight flowing freely. Giving brings happiness at every stage of its expression. We experience joy in forming the intention to be generous. We experience joy in the actual act of giving something. And we experience joy in remembering the fact that we have given." So ends the reading.
Quietly while you were asleep, the moon and I were talking. I asked that she'd always keep you protected. She promised me her light, that you so gracefully carry. You bring your light and shine like morning. And then the wind pulls the clouds across the moon. Your light fills the darkest room, and I can see the miracle that keeps us from falling. She promised me all the sweetest gifts that only the heavens could bestow. You bring your light and shine like morning. And as you so gracefully give her light, as long as you live, I'll always remember this moment. I'll always remember this moment.
A few weeks ago, a member of our congregation, who will remain unnamed, was sitting at home feeling a bit down, with some justification in terms of what was going on in their life. And in the course of a morning, looked at their email and noticed a call from the congregation here that volunteers were needed at Naples Pride Center to help with the relief of Hurricane Ian in our local community. So this person, with some effort, got themselves up and out the door, got themselves down to the Pride Center and began to find out what was going on. Learned that the process was to take things that individual people had expressed a need for and delivered it to them in person. Their effort was a door-to-door effort to find out what people really needed and to find ways to get them those goods so that they could continue to survive after the hurricane. This person was gone from the Pride Center for a long time, so there was some concern growing that maybe they'd gotten lost or something had happened. And when they finally returned, they were able to express to those present what happened during their day. And it wasn't so much the delivery of things, but that they started their day in the dumps and ended their day with an incredible sense of joyous participation in a communal effort at mutual aid. They had found joy in their day by giving of themselves. Getting out, getting active, giving of themselves, getting out of themselves, moved them from dwelling in their own personal concerns, uncertainties, and fears to feeling alive and fulfilled. What a great story that is. We often don't remember that action is a great antidote to the things that hold us within ourselves. And that the idea of generosity is one that could be foundational to our lives. Many years ago, a Buddhist master from the forests tradition in Thailand visited the United States, And he had had the opportunities in the late 60s and 70s to instruct a number of young and some not so young individuals who made the pilgrimage from the United States to Asia to learn about the Buddha's path. And now the master had come to the United States to see what was transpiring here in this country. He was eager to observe the teaching methods that were being used, but he came away from the first of his visits, or the first few of his visits, somewhat bemused or maybe even concerned. In Thailand, and I believe in the rest of Asia, he reported the classical sequence of the teachings and practice of the Buddha is first dana, or generosity, then morality, and then meditation or insight. But here in the United States, the sequence seems to be upside down. Meditation first, then morality, and after some time, as a kind of appendix, there's some teaching about dana, about generosity. At its most basic level, dana in the Buddhist tradition means giving freely without expectation of anything in return. The Buddha emphasized the joy of giving, pure and simple. It's not meant to be obligatory. It's not meant to be done reluctantly or with some sense of smug satisfaction. Rather, dana should be performed when the giver is delighted before, during, and after giving. The visiting Buddhist master wondered out loud to their host, "What's happening here?" And when you think about it, actually, about our culture, it's not that difficult to understand. There are, of course, a number of people, including many Unitarian Universalists, who have found the fullness of the Buddhist path and take it as their primary guide in searching for truth and meaning. But others have different motivations for seeking out Buddhist meditation. Some are enticed by the idea of some achieving some transformative state. Some seek the tools to find a moment of peace in a very, very hectic world. Others, hearing of the health benefits of meditation, seek it as a way of reducing stress. And all of these are great and fine reasons for meditation, but they also reflect the very individualistic bent of our culture. People tend to be in sort of self-help mode and don't always take the opportunity to consider the broader and even more beneficial possibilities of following the wider spiritual path that involves a connection and a commitment to others. And so meditation teachers here in the US respond to this demand and the individual need by focusing first on the techniques and the forms of meditation. So this is unfortunate because, as we heard this morning from the reading, the Buddha saw that no true spiritual path is open to us without the possibility of a generous heart. The Buddha was not alone in this thinking. In the 12th century, Jewish philosopher Moses Maimonides wrote about 8 levels of charity, expressing very much the same ideas, offering them up as a kind of guide to enlightened living. This in the 1100s. The Prophet Muhammad understood the power of giving when he said, "The best of my people will enter paradise not because of their achievements, but because of the mercy of God and their being satisfied with little for themselves and their extreme generosity towards others." The idea has scientific merit as well. Psychologist James Fowler was the director of both the Center for Research on Faith and Moral Development and the Center for Ethics at Emory University. And in his 1981 book, Stages of Faith, he outlined a theory of 6 stages of spiritual development that people might go through as they progress through their lives. He based this work on Piaget's stages of cognitive development and Kohlberg's stages of moral development. And his basic theory can be applied not just those in more traditional faiths, but those who follow alternative spiritualities or even a secular worldview. The 6 stages reflect a growing awareness, openness, expansiveness, and finally, commitment to a wider human community. There's always a tension at each of those stages, a pull from other needs and commitments that we all understand. But individuals who are able to reach higher stages of faith development, in Fowler's terms, move through the desire for self-actualization and self-fulfillment to a point where they are actualizing the spirit of an inclusive and fulfilled human community. They are reaching a point where they are actualizing the spirit of an inclusive and fulfilled human community. So the generative spirit in these higher stages would be expressed by giving based on others' needs and a compassionate response to the wider community's sense of social justice concerns. Unfortunately, because we are human and the world is as it is, most of us, though not all, follow a path of practical living, of finding ways to survive and thrive in a demanding world. We tend to leave aside or leave for later the development of sort of broader cognitive and moral awareness, or in the practice of our chosen faith or philosophy. I haven't shared this for a while, but since it always brings me joy to remember, I will share again. When I was on my way up in the publishing world, I had the opportunity to hire my own replacement as the director of production in a development house, editorial and publishing development house. And I knew exactly the guy I wanted to hire. He was young, younger than me anyway, and he had a great heart. He had a great grasp of the business and what made people tick. He would be much better at the job than I had ever been. He had a lot of great expressions that would just roll off his tongue at any given moment. Like, we're in good shape for the shape we're in. But the one that still makes me smile was one where if we were in a staff meeting and we were running into trouble with our, process or our schedule or with the client, and people were asking what happened, he would always come forth, shrug his shoulders and simply say, human beings were involved. So our social scientists, Fowler and Erikson, who developed a similar theory of psychosocial development, understand the idea that human beings are not perfect creatures. We are complex social creatures whose development is impacted sometimes for better and sometimes for worse by our relationships with family and friends, by our interactions with the world of business and society. We get stuck often along our route. Some of us work hard at getting ourselves unstuck. Some continue to struggle at a certain point. We try occasionally to find the keys to health and happiness, doing our own spiritual work. But there are actually ways to do this, as we've been talking about, to sort of jumpstart ourselves on our path. And it is to get out and act and reflect and get out again. So I have 5 reasons here for engaging that world with a sense of generosity, for doing just that. So first, and these are all sort of scientifically supported, giving is a very healthy activity. Stephen Post, author and professor at Stony Brook University, wrote in his book, Why Good Things Happen to Good People, report that giving to others has been shown to increase health benefits in people with chronic illness. And a study out of the University of California in Berkeley found that elderly people who volunteered for 2 or more organizations were 44% less likely to die over a 5-year period than were non-volunteers. Even after controlling for their age, exercise habits, general health, and negative health habits like smoking. That is incredible. Second, giving generously builds social connection and promotes cooperation. In her book, The How of Happiness, author Sonia Lyubomirsky writes that being kind and generous leads you to perceive others more positively and more charitably, which in turn fosters a heightened sense of interdependence and cooperation in your social community. Third, giving generates the spirit of gratitude. Whether you are the giver or the beneficiary of a gift, the exchange can elicit feelings of gratitude. Giving can be a way of expressing gratitude or instilling gratitude in the recipient. And like giving, research has shown that gratitude is integral to our happiness, health, and the creation of social bonds. Robert Emmons and Michael McCullough are co-directors of the research project on gratitude and thankfulness, and they have found that teaching college students to count their blessings, to actually do the work of listing the things that they are blessed with, and cultivating a sense of gratitude actually caused them to exercise more, be more optimistic, and feel better about their lives overall. A focus on the positive. Fourth, giving is contagious. A study by another James Fowler, different from the one I mentioned before, this one from the University of California in San Diego, and of Nicholas Christakis of Harvard, shows that when one person behaves generously, it inspires observers to behave generously at a later time toward different people. So the researchers found that generosity can actually spread by 3 degrees, from one person to the next, and then the next, and the next. So if you give to somebody and somebody observes that and feels a sense that they would like to do the same, and they do that, they are observed, again, it passes forward. The whole idea of that, of paying it forward, is real and works. Finally, giving simply makes you happy. Harvard Business School professor Michael Norton and his colleagues have found that giving money to someone else lifted people's happiness more than spending it on themselves, despite the prediction made by the folks in the study that spending on themselves would make them happier. And in another study, researchers in the National Institutes of Health found that when people contribute to charities, it activates regions of the brain associated with pleasure, social connection, and just lost my place. Pleasure, social connection. Where is it? And it creates a warm glow. I apologize for this. I got a little warm glow in that moment right there. So it creates a little helper's high, just like the member of this congregation felt after their day of volunteering at the Pride Center. So 5 reasons why the practice of generosity is powerful and healthy. Giving is very healthy. It builds social connections and promotes cooperation. It generates the spirit of gratitude. Giving is contagious, and it makes you happier. And I actually have a 6th reason I want to offer, not necessarily scientifically based this morning. But if we can build a community of generative people, of people who see generosity as a way to express themselves and get out of themselves, ready to look beyond themselves, we'll have found here within these walls beloved community. And if we extend ourselves outward, connecting with other communities who are doing good things, even if they don't totally align with the philosophies that we hold here, we can begin to push back the darkness that is strangling our society. What might emerge then could be a world we dream about for our children and our grandchildren. The words of our closing hymn, which we'll be singing in a minute, read, "To build the common good and make our own days glad." And these are not two separate objectives, but one statement that is both circular and intertwined. To truly work towards the common good, as long and as hard as the path may be, sometimes requires a certain delight in the journey, a joy in the effort, a love and an intention. And it stretches our generosity muscles and rewards us with the joy of knowing we have made an effort. The benefits are staggering if we think about a whole community of people achieving that sense of the generous spirit. In Love Dharma, Buddhist teacher and writer Jerry Larkin states, "The Buddha taught over and over that generosity is the first door we walk through if we are serious about the work of being fully human." And the Buddha himself, in his own simple ways, offers these final words of wisdom. "If beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given, nor would the stain of selfishness overcome their minds. Even if it were their last bite, their last mouthful, they would not eat without having shared, if there were someone to receive their gift." So may it be. So as you take a breath after that long, drawn out, I guess it was a sermon today, not a homily. Let's reflect on the value that this community has for each one of us. The morning's offering for the ongoing mission of this congregation will be gratefully received.
Plant more than you harvest, sun and water, earth and seeds. Plant more than you harvest, give the earth all that it needs. Plant more than you harvest, give the earth all that it needs, the earth all that it needs. Clear the meadows and the highways, plant stout trees between. Let the forests hold the hillsides, cover the earth with green. Let the forests hold the hillsides, cover the earth with green, cover the earth with green. Clear the meadows and the highways, plant stout trees between. Let the forests hold the hillsides, cover the earth with green. Let the forests and the hillsides, cover the earth with green, cover the earth with green. Plant the grains to feed everyone. Plant more. There we go. Plant more than you harvest, sun and water, earth and seeds. Plant more harvest. Give the earth all that it needs. Plant more than you harvest. Give the earth all that it needs. The earth all that it needs. Tall cedar and the spreading oak cool all that dwell below, and the fallen trunk helps seeds reveal the secrets that they know. And the fallen trunk helps seeds reveal the secrets that they know, the secrets that they know. Fall by the wayside, but some will make it through. On the water, a wind, or a loving hand, the cycle starts anew. On the water, a wind, or a loving hand, the cycle starts anew. The cycle starts anew. Plant more than you harvest, sun and water, earth and seeds. Plant more than you harvest, give the earth all that it needs. Plant more than you harvest, give the earth all that it needs. The earth all that it needs.
So quickly, we have a few announcements and then a shared announcement from Jane Graham. After the service today at noon, an hour from now, our first forum of the year with author Catherine Stewart will be here in the sanctuary. An incredible opportunity to engage with an author working really and investigating on the front lines of this rise of Christian nationalism in our country and what's going on in our political environment. So a great opportunity to do that at noon today here in the sanctuary. On Wednesday, the first of our wonderful Wednesday programs for the year, I'll be starting this year's programs off with the first of 3 sessions on the practice of Unitarian Universalism. That will be great. Next Sunday, we will have our children in the sanctuary participating, and I hope you'll be here to enjoy that. It'll be a service of story and song, and I'm very excited about that, so I hope you'll be here for that. And Jane Graham, I hope you would come forward right now, and I'm going to give you this microphone right here, and at least have you hold it and share your message.
Thank you, Tony.
Stand right behind you, I'm sorry.
Okay, no, that's fine. Stand wherever you like to. As Tony said, my name is Jane Graham, and I'm the current chair of the endowment board for the church. Other members are Ken Eterno, who is walking up here, Adrian Cady, who's sitting over there, Tom Menaker. Tom, are you here? And Bill Halbrick, who I know is on vacation, actually. Before I begin with a short endowment board and legacy circle overview, I wonder if any past members of the endowment board are here and can stand up. Nobody's here. Okay. I know Robin Petty is often here, and he was a former chair. It's on the shoulders of these individuals that the endowment fund has grown and succeeded in being the successful foundation for our church. So thank you to them. The endowment board came into being on March 31st, 2001, the purpose of which was to, quote, enhance the mission and work of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Greater Naples, apart from the general operation of the congregation, through handling such gifts as transfers of property, stocks, charitable gift annuities, assignment of life insurance plans, and the like. The endowment board assumes the responsibility of investing gifts and bequests and growing the foundational support for the church. At first, back in 2001 and the early years, there was a period of simply growing the funds with the goal of reaching $50,000. After this goal was reached, the bylaws stated that we were able to invoke the distribution rule, which allowed for 5% of the funds to be utilized for the congregation for needed capital improvements, activities, or programs. On March 25th, 2018, this bar was increased from $50,000 to $500,000, which is where it is today. That threshold was exceeded several years ago, and the Endowment Fund Board has been actively managing distributions from the fund as well as managing the fund itself. Projects completed with endowment fund support must fall into one of the following 4 categories: program enhancement, enhancement of buildings and grounds, community outreach, and 4th, developing the wider mission of UUA. You will note that the endowment board funds are not to be spent on routine or recurring operational expenses. In addition to the endowment board funds, we manage the Legacy Circle. Membership in the Legacy Circle is simply the completion of a promissory form of intent to leave something in your will to the endowment fund of the congregation. There's a wall in the lobby with the names of about 40 people who have joined the Legacy Circle over the years. If you are inclined to leave the church as a benefactor in your estate, it would be a good idea to sign up for the Legacy Circle. Currently, we have about $1 million in the endowment fund. This will provide a healthy return of about $50,000 to the church this year. We've worked hard to audit our accounts and review our investments, and will continue to be good stewards of the congregation's investment. And we, along with the Board of Trustees, review every grant application thoroughly. I can tell you that now we are encouraging programmatic requests. So if there's a social justice project, an RE project, a knapsack meal request, where's Missy? I know she's here somewhere. Okay. We encourage you to submit a request for endowment funds form and apply. To date, from now until the end of March, end of our fiscal year, we have remaining for distribution approximately $23,000. Forms and Legacy Circle information are with Adrian Cady. Adrian, could you just raise your hand? Okay. So if you're interested after this meeting, please see Adrian. Our Legacy Circle mailing has just gone into the mail this week. How many of you have received it? It was an envelope. Okay, great. We encourage you to review it seriously and consider joining. So Ken is here. He's going to mention direct bequests to the endowment fund. They're always welcomed. In addition, he's going to specify how the documents in their bequest is intended for the endowment board. So the health of our church deserves a good foundation, and hopefully will also give you a warm glow.
Thank you. Jane's explained the Legacy Circle, and that's basically for bequests, but I want to make a pitch for direct donations to the endowment fund. Adrian Cady put me on this a couple of years ago as a wonderful way to honor deceased members of the congregation. I basically make a donation to the endowment fund in the memory of deceased friends of mine who have passed away. It's a wonderful way to honor those people and still provide funds to the endowment fund. The endowment board sends out an acknowledgement to you for the donation. It's also included on your tax statement that you get along with your pledge contributions. Any contribution to the endowment fund is included in that as well. And in addition to that, the endowment fund sends out a notice or a thank you or a letter to the family of the deceased person recognizing the donation. So your donation gets recognized to the family as well. We don't specify the amount, but we do indicate basically that a donation has been made in honor of or memory of such and such a person. You can also, if you have someone who's got a great accomplishment in the church or has done something significant, you can make a contribution in honor of that person. They don't have to be deceased to make a contribution to the endowment fund. That's another wonderful way to do that. I wanted to mention also that Jane had mentioned that we're pushing for programmatic expenses or contributions or distributions from the endowment fund. The reason for that is that the board of the endowment fund has committed to the capital fund. They've contributed $25,000 of our distribution to the capital fund of the church this past year, and we've committed to do so for the next 3 years. So we're going to contribute half of whatever we're distributing, whatever that amount is, to the capital fund. That also relieves the church operating fund to some extent to have to contribute to that. And because it's used for capital expenditures, it meets under our criteria. And so what we've basically said is that's our contribution to the capital expenses of the church unless there's an extraordinary event. And now what we're going to do is push to have programmatic expenses and help develop programs in the church. So you see, the endowment fund does an awful lot, and we appreciate the contributions that you could make. Thank you for your time. Members of the endowment fund board are available to answer any questions you may have after service. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken and Jane, very much. This is an incredible, since I've been here, this has just been an incredible growth of the fund, which is a testament to the congregation and its meaning in many people's lives. I do want to make it very clear that the endowment fund is for monies that are over and above your ability to contribute to the annual pledge drive, which happens beginning now and through into January. The operating budget of the congregation is really important, and so that's critical. If there are monies you have available over and above, or when you're doing estate planning, the endowment is where you might be able to provide some of your generosity. So keep that in mind as well. So thank you both. Thanks to the endowment board for your great work. Let's sing our hymn. It's 11:10, but many of you are staying, hopefully, for the forum, so we'll sing our hymn today. For All That Is Our Life, number 128. Please rise as you're willing or able.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, our hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for sorrow we must bear, for failures, fair and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life, for all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
Each day the first day, each day a life. Each morning we must hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. Go in peace. Go in love. Have a wonderful day.